Get up and get ready for the South Carolina High School Blitz.
This is about pride. Not keeping it, but finding it.
Join SC Varsity Jim Baxter and guests for the best in South Carolina high school sports and recruiting news.
This is just not just some game. You realize that.
Here's Jim Baxter. Go all the way.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Football in the Midlands, presented to you by SCVARSITY.COM. I am Jim Baxter, and we are bringing you weekly podcasts covering the football action around the Midlands area, and as well as bringing you statewide rankings, player rankings, recruiting information, top players, players of the week, you name it, we got it here. And this is week one, and we have a full slate of football action this week in the Midlands. First thing I want to talk about, though, before we get into the game and the game previews, I wanted to go over the Midlands rankings. We ranked all teams in the Midlands, and if you haven't seen it yet, the Football in the Midlands issue is out. It's on Twitter. It's on SCVARSITY.COM. All you got to do is go to Twitter, click the link, and you can open it up and read it. It's free. Everything from SCVARSITY.COM is free. And I want to go over the rankings real quick. In the Midlands, Dutch Fork, number 1, Sumter, number 2, Blythewood, number 3, River Bluff, 4, 5 is number Westwood, at number 6, Spring Valley, Lexington at 7, Brooklyn Casey 8, White Knoll 9, and Airport 10. That top 10 is strong. I'm going to tell you, Dutch Fork is they're not going to lose a game this year. Not from a South Carolina team. Mallard Creek will give them a little challenge, but I think even Mallard Creek is not going to be a four-quarter match for Dutch Fork. Sumter is going to be the favorite in their region. Blythewood is going to compete for that, as well as Spring Valley down at number 6. Next 10 on the list: Gilbert at 11, Fairfield Central 12, Camden 13, AC Flora 14, Ridgeview 15, Hammond 16, Chapin 17, Dreer 18, Lower Richland 19, and Gray Collegiate at 20. Of that next 10, I gotta say AC Flora is probably ranked lower than they should be. Had a chance to see them in the preseason. Very impressed with their defensive front. Very impressed with their running back. I think that this is a team that is probably better than where I've got them sitting right now. And right below them at Ridgeview at number 15. I'm not so sure that Ridgeview is not exactly where they need to be. I had them higher in the preseason rankings that came out back in spring, but after taking a look at them in preseason play and starting a freshman quarterback, they look very shaky on offense, and I'm not so sure that they're not sitting right where they need to be. I think they'll be fine when midseason rolls around and by the time region play starts, but right now I think that they're probably right at number 15, right where they should be in the Midlands rankings. The next 10, Batesburg, Leesville 21, Newberry 22, Calhoun County 23, Swansea 24, Pillion 25, Cardinal Newman at 26, Keenan at number 27, Lugoff Elgin number 28, Heathwood Hall 29, and Richland Northeast at number 30. I think the surprise for everybody is going to be that Newberry is sitting at number 22. They lost a lot of talent last year. This is a team that I had a chance to see in some preseason, and I just don't think that they're going to be the same type of Newberry team that we've seen over the past decade. I think that they may be a little better than 22, but I got to see it first, and I just haven't seen it in the preseason. Lugoff Elgin way down at number 28. I do think Lugoff Elgin is could possibly be better than the 28 team, but right now they haven't looked at. They're going to struggle this year. I don't think Lugoff Elgin wins a region game this year. The final 5 closing out the Midlands: Mid Carolina at number 31, Columbia number 32, Eau Claire number 33, Ben Lippen number 34, and C.A. Johnson rounding off that top 20 that top 35 at the number 35 position. With that said, let's go ahead and start talking about the games. We're going to start with 5A, and I'm going to go over with the 5A rankings in Midlands. I've got Dutch Fork, Sumter, Blythewood, Spring Valley, River Bluff, Lexington, White Knoll, Chapin, Irmo, and Lugoff Elgin. The first game that we will be talking about is going to be Mallard Creek at Dutch Fork. There are a lot of people that are saying that Mallard Creek is going to give Dutch Fork a run for their money, and I think that Mallard Creek's a very good football team. These are probably two of the best programs in the two states. Little doubt that Mallard Creek is a good matchup, a good opponent for Dutch Fork. This is going to be an ESPN televised game, but I don't think that they're going to be a four-quarter match for the Silver Foxes. I think that this is one of the best returning rosters that Coach Knox has had over there. I think that Ty Olenchuk at quarterback, Jalen Hyatt, at wide receiver, John Hall at running back, behind that big offensive line is going to be tough offensively against Mallard Creek, who's got one of the top linebackers in the Southeast. I think Dutch Fork's defense is what's going to be a surprise to some people. Trey Irby at the nose guard position for Dutch Fork is a beast. I think he's probably one of the most underrated players in the entire state. I look for that young man to make the Shrine Bowl because I think that he's the best at that position in the entire state. But I'm picking Dutch Fork in this game. Sumter, our number 2 team, is at Rock Hill. This is going to be a good game. Rock Hill Bearcats lost some talent to graduation last year, but they're a very improved football team. And Sumter, however, they returned 9 starters from last year. They got 3 Division I wide receivers. They've got the number 1 defensive back in the state, and Donald Fortune, who's committed to South Carolina. And I just think that Sumter's just got too much fuel, too many weapons for Rock Hill, and I think that they win that game on the road. We've got Blythewood hosting Ridgeview 4A, but I'm going to list them in the 5A group here because Blythewood is a home team and they're 5A. Blythewood Bengals played young last year. They've got some experience coming back 2019. They're still young. They've got a lot of juniors on that team they're starting, but they're juniors that played as sophomores. So they got a transfer quarterback from Gilbert, Josh Hendricks. I think that could be the difference in this team, between this team and the one that they had last year. I think Ridgeview returns talent on both sides of the ball. They've got a very good defense. I think that they'll challenge the Blythewood offense, but I think Ridgeview is going to struggle too much on the offensive side of the football. They're starting a freshman quarterback. He has looked shaky in the preseason, and if they're not able to move the football and trade touchdowns with Blythewood, then this could be a long night for them. The next game up is Irmo at Lexington. Big rivals, the Battle of the Dam to start the season. Irmo has struggled in the preseason. I've had a chance to look at them, and I think that they're gonna be an improved team. It may not show up in early in the season in terms of wins and losses, but I do think that they're going to be a better football team. I like the coaching that they've got over there. I like the kids that I've seen. Lexington is still searching for an identity at quarterback. Losing Cal Herndon in the spring to ACL injury is really hurt their offense because he was such a playmaker, and I think that that's what they're lacking right now is someone that can make plays for them when they need plays. If they find that, this is going to be a good football team. The running backs are going to be strong. Defensively, they're going to be strong. They got one of the best defensive coordinators in the Midlands area, and I think with 7 starters back on the defense, they're going to be tough against an Irmo offense that has really struggled in the preseason. As evenly matched as these teams are in terms of talent, I think Lexington wins this football game at home. River Bluff at Fort Mill. Gators return a strong group of starters back from a team that finished strong in 2018. If they remain healthy, this shouldn't even be a close game. I think that Braden Walker, running back, who I think is the best running back in the Midlands area, he'll be a force for the Gators on offense. They've got 6 starters back on their defense. But I really think the success for River Bluff is going to hinge on the health of Braden Walker. There was a big difference in the production on that football team last year when he went down to injury. But if he can stay healthy, this is going to be a very tough football team. Brooklyn Casey, 4A football team over at White Knoll. This is going to be an interesting game for Brooklyn Casey because they're going to find out what it's like after Razor Sharpie's graduation at quarterback. He was such a dynamic player and made big plays for them, and they're going to, I think, again, the success of this team is going to hinge on their quarterback. White Knoll returns a strong group of starters, including one of the more dynamic offensive playmakers in the Midlands, and Avion Smith at quarterback. They got one of the best offensive linemen, Nick Taste. I like J.Juan Johnson on defense for them. I think this is a very good football team. I think that they've been underrated by a lot of people in the preseason. And right now, as evenly matched as this is, I'm going to pick White Knoll at home to beat Brooklyn Casey. But this is a good Brooklyn Casey team. I think the key to this game could be whether or not White Knoll can defend Brooklyn Casey's running game. Will Way is one of the more underrated running backs in the Midlands for Brooklyn Casey. And the other thing is going to be whether or not Brooklyn Casey's defense can contain Avion Smith, because he's a big-time playmaker. Westwood 3A at Lugoff Elgin. I'm sorry, Westwood 4A at Lugoff Elgin. Red Hawks are going to be tough this year. They've got a lot of talent on that football team. Their star wide receiver is going to be missing this first game. They've got Amon Green, the quarterback that's committed to Georgia State. Very, very good athlete, that big jumbo quarterback, 220 pounds, and their offense is going to be very dynamic. Matt Quinn, of course, the former offensive coordinator for Redwood, took a head coaching job up in North Carolina, but when Dustin Curtis left for AC Florida this year, Matt Quinn comes back, takes over as a head coach, and I think they're going to be a very good offensive football team, and I think they're going to be too much for Lugoff Elgin, even at Lugoff Elgin, so I pick Westwood to win that game. Moving on to 4A, Airport at Dreer in 4A. Going to be interesting. The Blue Devils lost this matchup last year, 49-35. It was a close game. Both of them lost some talent, but this Airport team is one to watch. I mean, they've got the Bruce Staley that's going to be playing this year, running back. I think he's probably one of the most dangerous offensive players in the Midlands. He's going to be solid. They return a good offensive line. They're strong on defense. They'll be coached up. Dreer, they return experienced at quarterback Matthew Campbell. I think that's going to be key for them this year. I liked what we saw out of them in the Jamboree. We went to the Memorial Stadium, the Richland Jamboree, Saratoga, and they've got a running back, about a 270-pound running back that carries the ball sometimes. I really liked him. Defensively, I think they've got some work to do, but I think this is a team that can make some noise. They're definitely going to compete for their region, as is Airport in their respective region. Buford at AC Flora. This is a game that I had to go back and reevaluate after seeing AC Flora. I thought AC Flora would win this game anyway, but now I don't think there's going to be any problem with them winning this football game. Matt Packett, running back, I really like that kid. I think he, as I said earlier, one of the more underrated players in the Midlands area. Definitely one of the more underrated running backs in the state. He's a junior this year, and the most surprising or impressive part of this AC Flora football team is their defensive front. I have to say that out of all of the preseason things that I've seen, the AC Flora Falcons defensive front was the most impressive of everyone. All three are juniors, and those kids are studs. And I think that Buford is going to struggle against that AC Flora defense. Swansea 3A at Lower Richland. Tigers of Swansea still trying to rebuild. They got a few starters back. I like Mike Jones, a wide receiver. I think he's the best player on their football team, but I don't think he's going to be enough. Lower Richland's looked very impressive in the preseason. Their ground game is strong on offense. They got a good defensive front. And quarterback Jamison Gansey has done a very good job of moving that football team. I think he is going to impress some people this year. Great athlete. I think he's the best athlete on that football team. Crestwood at West Florence. Crestwood Knights returned 5 starters on each side of the ball, but they're still young and inexperienced in key spots, and I think they're going to struggle against a bigger and deeper West Florence team in this opening game. So I'm picking West Florence in that. By the way, that previous game I've got Lower Richland over Swansea. Carleton County at Lakewood. Lakewood returns 15 starters back to their team, and I think they're going to be a playoff contender. They're big up front. They're going to be strong in the trenches. They do have a new, inexperienced quarterback, and I think that's going to be key. But Carleton County's struggling. They've had some attrition down there. This is not a very strong football team, and they're on the road. And I'm gonna go with Lakewood in that football game. In the 3A classification, rankings first: Gilbert, Fairfield Central, Newberry, Camden, Swansea, Keenan, Pillion, and Mid Carolina rounding it out. Swansea was included in the last section because they were playing a 4A football team in their first game. This week, Newberry is idle, so they will not be playing. First game on the slate, Gray Collegiate at Gilbert. Gilbert Indians return a lot of talent back, and they're going to be playing a one quarterback system this year, so it'll give them a little bit more stability at quarterback with Guy Tolan. But Gray returns what is probably the best roster that they've ever had. They're going to be good. They got Hunter Helms at quarterback, who's committed to Holy Cross. They've got one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the Midlands area. Very big offensive front, and I think they're going to challenge Gilbert. I think the key to this game is going to be depth or lack thereof. I think Gilbert is deeper. Gray Collegiate, although their number ones are as good as anyone, I think that they're going to struggle deep into this game, and in the fourth quarter. Johns Creek, Georgia at Fairfield Central. The Gladiators of John Creek returned some strong offensive talent to their team. They were 9-2 last year. They beat Fairfield Central 48-21 last year in the same game. Fairfield's actually looked good this year on offense. They look very good against Ridgeview and Jamboree play, against a good defense. But I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to get it done against this Gladiator team from Johns Creek. I think Johns Creek is going to return too much firepower from that team from last year. And I'm going to go with the visitor in this one and go with Johns Creek. Camden at North Central, a rival game down in Fairfield County. The Camden Bulldogs, they've looked very strong in preseason play. I like the play at the quarterback position, and I look for them to make some noise in their region, and I think they're going to take care of business in this opener. I think that Camden wins this game. Keenan at Columbia, local rival game. Capitals won this matchup in 2018. Very close game. This season, they both enter with young players. They need to mature quickly. 7 starters back for the Caps and just 5 for Keenan. I saw both these teams in Jamboree. I think they're probably going to be evenly matched in this game. I'm going to go with Columbia just because they're at home and they've got a little bit more returning talent to their team. Pelion at Wagner Sally. Wagner Sally War Eagles return a senior-laden team. And if you remember, if you've listened to the high school scoreboard show over the last few years, you'll remember this team Wagner Sally has. These guys that are seniors, they all started as freshmen. So this is a very seasoned football team. Pelion, they've got 15 starters back from last year. The question is, can they handle Wagner Sally? I think that Wagner Sally and War Eagles is going to be a little bit too much for Pelion in this game. Whitmire, Mid-Carolina, Rebels of Mid-Carolina return 14 starters off a team that beat Whitmire in 2018. Experience is going to be their friend in this game, and I believe Mid-Carolina wins this game. I don't think it's going to be very close either. 2A matchups. We have Saluda at Strom Thurmond. Saluda Tigers returned 9 starters back from last year's team, including quarterback Noah Bell. This is a very impressive young man. He had 2,800 yards passing last year, 35 touchdowns, and rushed for 500 yards and 6 more scores. Very, very dangerous offensive football player. Rebels of Strom Thurmond are going to be ready with a loaded football team again. I think they're going to be strong on defense, maybe too strong for Saluda. And I've got Strom Thurmond winning this, having the edge because they are the home team and Saluta's on the road. Batesburg, Leesville at Rich Spring, Minetta. Another rival game right down the road from each other. They don't like each other very much. I think it's a very evenly matched football team. I think that the Panthers probably have the edge in skills positions. They won this game last year in a very close game, but I'm going to go with Batesburg, Leesville on this. I really like Keyshawn Johnson. He's at quarterback and defensive back. I think Keyshawn Williams is one of the best defensive backs in the Midlands area. But they're going to utilize him on both sides of the football, and he's a dangerous player. OW at Calhoun County. OW, a 4A school, playing a rival game against Calhoun County. I think Bruins, OW are going to be too deep, too talented for Calhoun County Saints to hang with them for 4 quarters, and I think they'll manage to make a game of this. Calhoun County will, at least in 1 or 2 quarters. But I think once we get to the second half of the game, the depth will start winning this football game, and we'll see the Bruins of Orangeburg Wilkinson winning this game. C.A. Johnson is at Great Falls. Hornet C.A. Johnson is rebuilding on offense. Saw him in preseason. Not the most impressive performance of a team coming out. I thought they struggled a little bit at the quarterback position, but Great Falls is a team that struggles as well. This was a game that it was 8-6 last year, and Johnson winning that game. I'm going to go with C.A. Johnson in this, but this game is really one of those pick'ems. Louisville at Eau Claire. Shamrocks return their leading rusher from offense. They return a good bit on the defensive side of the football. They'll be inexperienced at the quarterback position, but I think this is a team that can handle a Louisville team that has struggled, and we may see Eau Claire get the win in this at home. We'll go over to the SCVARSITY games. I mentioned Hammond earlier, taking on Southern Columbia from Pennsylvania. Southern Columbia team is probably going to be the best team Hammond sees this year. Their quarterback and running back are both seniors with Division I offers. They return almost all of their defense that was 12-0 last year, and they won the 2A championship in Pennsylvania. Hammond's at home. We've talked about the talent they've got. They've got the number one football player prospect in the state, and Jordan Birch at defensive end. Alex Huntley, defensive lineman, strong at linebacker. I like Saul Diaz as one of the top linebackers in the Midlands. Offensively, Jackson Muschamp has done an outstanding job with that football team. Got his first Power 5 offer recently, Boston College, and I think this is as good as this Southern Columbia team is. I think that Hammond is going to get the win. This is going to be on Sunday. It's going to be an ESPN televised game. Ben Lippin at Pinewood Prep. Ben Lippin returns 14 starters from the 2018 lineup, and Pinewood Prep has just been in the doldrums of high school football for the last couple of years, and I think this is not even going to be close. I think Ben Lippin wins this game. John Paul II at Cardinal Newman. The Cardinals turned 15 starters back from last year's team. John Paul coming in. They graduated Zach Doe, the big running back they had last year. I think Cardinals need to mature quickly at the quarterback position, but their defensive front, their defense is going to be good, but they're going to be challenged in this game because John Paul II is a very good ground attack football team. Lee Academy at Heathwood Hall. Lee Academy won this game a year ago running away, but the Highlanders culture is changing. I like what Coach Danny Lewis has done over there. He's played young. The guys that he's gotten in place are very good football players. Darius Porter, Ronnie Porter, two of the best in SCVARSITY. I like Alex Lewis at quarterback. He's more mature, a little more experienced this year. He can make plays for him. And as good as Lee Academy has been, I'm going to go with Heathwood Hall in this game. And I think it would be, by most, considered an upset. Hilton Head Prep at Northside. Northside Crusaders graduated a lot of talent from last year's team. This year with youth and taking on a tough HHP team, I just think it's going to be more than they can handle, and I think that Hilton Head Prep wins this football game. So that's all of the games that we've got on tap for the Midlands. I think that there's some players in those games that are going to be key factors in these games. I think if you look at the Southern Columbia game, I really believe that the defense of Hammond is going to be key, and Saul Diaz is going to be anchored for that. I think that he is in the middle of that Skyhawk defense, and his job is going to be knowing where that running back, Gage Garcia, is at all times. I think the success of the Tigers' offense all hinges on that running back's production, and I think if Diaz, along with his cohorts, can slow that ground attack down, then I think Hammond wins this football game. John Hall, Dutch Fork, is going to be key in the Mallard Creek game. Everyone knows all of the other talent that's on the field in this game. We all know that Dutch Fork's quarterback is good. We all know they have Jalen Hyatt at wide receiver and how good he is. But I believe that everyone knows that the complete Silver Fox football team always is based on a ground game, and any Coach Knox team is. I think that John Hall coming in at running back this year is going to be key in this football game. Malachi Brown, quarterback at Brooklyn Casey, is going to be the impact player for Brooklyn Casey in this White Knoll game. I think their success and whether or not they win this football game is going to be how well Malachi Brown plays. If he protects the football and has a good game with his legs, I think that Brooklyn Casey could pull an upset and beat White Knoll. Bruce Staley, running back at Airport, I think that he is going to be the key, not just in this game, but almost every game that Airport plays in this year. He's dynamic. He's probably going to be the most dynamic player on the field in this game. I think he's one of the most dynamic offensive players in 4A football, definitely in the Midlands, and he could be the guy that the Airport saddles up and rides through this season. Hunter Helms, quarterback at Great Collegiate. I think he's one of the more dangerous passers in the Midlands. He's got a new wide receiver weapon that I think is going to be big for him, and I think that with the running back that they have, this is a team poised to give Gilbert a tough game, and I think it's going to, again, hinge on Hunter Helms. If he puts up big numbers and is able to move the football and not turn the ball over and protect it, I think Gray's got a chance in this game against Gilbert. Ethan Davis, a quarterback at Pulliam. Panthers are taking on a very tough Wagner-Sally team. I think that even with 15 starters back, I think that the key is going to be whether or not Ethan Davis can make plays for them. He's going to have to be a playmaker against this senior-laden group that Wagner-Sally has. And if he's not, if he can't do that, then they're going to struggle against this team because Wagner-Sally's got a pretty good football team. That is about all the time we have. We've covered every game in the middle. We went over the impact players, and I think that you're going to have a great weekend watching this. In fact, you get an opportunity to see 2 ESPN games. You're going to be able to see Dutch Fork on Friday night. You're going to be able to see Hammond on Sunday night. So we're going to get a chance to watch 2 of the top games in the Midlands this weekend because they're being played on different days. I'm Jim Baxter. I will be back every Wednesday bringing you the best coverage of football in the Midlands right here from SCVARSITY.com.
Some leg tonight for sure. Tell us how you do.